All right. Okay. All right. I don't know if I need to read this. I guess I'll read it. The opening statement I have to read. Qualifications of the members of the commission, the staff of the commission, and any consultants used are on file with the town and are hereby made part of each and every application heard tonight. The guidelines and procedures adopted by the commission are also made part of each and every application. Each application heard tonight is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. Historic district guidelines have been adopted by the town of Sykesville in accordance with Article 6B, 8.06A of the Maryland Code and follow the recommendations of the United States Secretary of the Interior. Sykesville Historic District Commission follows Robert's Rules of Order with the exception that the chairperson votes. Okay, the first order on the agenda is the minutes from November 23rd to 2021. Does anyone have any comments or changes they want to make? No, I didn't have any problems either with it. So I'll move that we accept the minutes of November 23rd. Have a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Judd. All in favor? Aye. Okay, you're on mute, Richard. I don't know if you knew that. But okay, good enough. All right, second, all right, our regular agenda then is the application 2021-15 for the retaining wall at 7448 Springfield Avenue. So I guess Aaron is there. If you guys want to make your presentation and we'll discuss it.
Pretty easy on this one. We shared with the town the intended material, which is consistent with what we discussed last time. And we are prepared to use that in the color and the product spec. Carrie, I think you probably have that if you want to share.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Okay.
And we believe that to conform with the appropriate code and the request of the committee from our last meeting.
Yeah, okay. Okay, are there any comments for anyone about this, or is everyone in agreement that it meets our guidelines? You want to go back to the galleries then, Carrie? There we go. Okay. Chad or Richard, either of you have any comments on that? It seems like it's consistent with other retaining walls in town. It's not concrete, it's not wood, as the not recommended says. So, all right, really quick. If there are no comments, I'll make a motion that we approve this application 2021-15 for the retaining wall at 7448 Springfield Avenue as submitted, as it does comply with the recommendations on page 55, walls and fences in the guidelines. Are there any comments or additions to that? Do we have a second? Okay, Richard seconds. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you're right. That was quick. So thanks. That was what we wanted.
Thank you, friends. Appreciate it. And
Okay.
hope so
Thank
before
you.
we see you. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. See you later. Okay. Second agenda item is the application 2022-01 for the shed at 7615 Main Street, Divine on Main. And I guess Heidi is here to represent it.
All right, my husband, you can see the top of his head, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess you submitted a plan, a picture of the shed and the plans for it. Is there any, I don't know if you want to add anything to that or discuss it a little bit, or it's going to be located behind the, your
Can you,
store?
Carrie, can you bring up the site plan with it so everybody can see it?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Actually, it's going to be located on the side of our building, and it will go.
Yeah, it would be the
Still-
side.
Yes, here is our building. The vine is the little square, and then the shed is 8 feet by 12 feet. It starts at the end of our window and goes to the end of the building. So it is all within our property. We've actually, since we drew that drawing, we've been talking to an air conditioning person. We may be able to cozy the shed directly beside our building instead of that 3-foot space. They are suggesting we can use the same heating and air conditioning unit to do both the vine and the shed with one unit. And that buys us the shed would come in 3 feet.
Okay.
What's the property setback, Righty, for your property?
I don't know what that question means.
So your
And,
property line. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'll just let you know, Righty's been working with our new town planner, Kevin, on working on the setbacks and the placement for the shed, so it might alter slightly. I don't remember what it is. I know there was supposed to be a gap between the building and the shed. But Kevin has been working with her to try to figure out the correct placement that'll work for the zoning.
Okay.
Right. The biggest thing of note is that the old railroad track,
Yeah.
the shed will not come over that line. It will be either to that line or 3 feet in if we can get rid of that 3-foot gap. Right now, that 3-foot gap allows for our existing heating and air conditioning unit plus a little breathing space. If we use the same unit through ductwork and do both at the same time, then the shed can go directly next to our building and be 3 feet closer. So our property line extends to the end of that railroad track plus 11 feet. Takes us to the middle of that drive-through. And then the Patapsco Distilling and the Sexville Pottery and Art has about 12 feet to get to their sidewalks. So we share that drive-through equidistant.
Okay. All right. Is there any other discussion on that part of it or any of it? Do you want to show a picture of it, Carrie?
Yeah, let's look at the elevation.
Carrie, since this is a new building on Main Street, it's going to be a new construction. Does it have to go through planning and zoning?
It's actually not new construction. It's an already created shed. It is a non-permanent building. They drop it in already constructed. Then it can be removed at any time. It has no foundation. It just sits on the ground on top of pavers that they will oversee.
Yeah, I thought I saw there was an exemption because it was a temporary building.
Yeah.
And she is working with our zoning folks that does have to comply with setbacks for, I believe they're called auxiliary buildings in the zoning code. So that's a separate thing from the HDC.
Yeah, there's probably a maximum square footage as well.
Right. And I don't believe this would have to go to planning commission, but Kevin and Jana would be in charge of that, and that would be through them.
Carrie, do you have pictures of the shed itself?
Yeah.
So that's the colors of the shed, which exactly duplicate the color of our current building. There's another photograph of the shed. It's just not in the right colors. There's the shed. So it's a Cape Cod. The siding is T111 wood. It has a double solid door. And then it has the same, almost the exact same roof pitch as our current building. So basically it's a mini me. We have no windows in it because we are hoping to be able to store some of the shop inventory. We don't want people to see in.
Right.
Heidi, is the door going to be facing north?
The
Where's the
door
door?
will be, the door will be facing Main Street in a depth exact duplication of our front door, so that if you are standing on the side of my building, looking at Main Street, that's how it will be located. So the door will open onto my property. It does not, even if it went sideways, it would still be my property, but this way it goes straight out as if you were walking front to Main Street. And we did this for ease of access to get in and out of that building from my front door with the least amount of footsteps possible.
This isn't a historic district commission issue, but you might want to look at the gable roof if you move it closer to the building with snow against your building or any rain, then drainage down in between your building and the shed.
Right.
Unless it has a gutter on that side.
It does have a gutter on that side, and the person who is, I'm working with the shed, we took a look at the drainage. And he seemed to think that that was perfectly appropriate, especially since the shed will be mounted onto pavers and raised, and there will be a little bit of a distance for
Okay.
drainage.
Good.
So we did take that into account.
So how high, compared to your building, the peak of this building, does it just come up like to the edge of the roof, or how high up does that come on the side of your building? It's not going to extend up above it, right?
It's not above
Into
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sides of the building, I think somewhere on the brochure, it gives you the top of it. It is below our roof. And maybe not. We did, I do have that blueprint available that we provided to our, oh, there it is. Oh, nope. I put that on as an example. The side comes just below our roof. And so the roof pitch is going to be below our current roof pitch.
Okay. You're saying the peak?
Excuse my highly technical architectural drawing skills.
Okay.
And you say that the building will end before the first rail? Is that what you were saying?
There are two rails. It
Yeah.
will end by the second rail. The
No,
first
it's-
rail is where the blue chair is, the middle of that door. The first rail is within that area.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments or recommendations, or is everyone satisfied with what we have?
Norm,
I
the
mean-
only recommendation I would have with the approval of it is that it would go through planning and zoning to make sure that it meets the setback requirements and
Right.
all of the other necessary things that other commissions need.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you looked into like security for that righty or anything, but you might want to put a deadbolt or a camera or something.
Yeah, so we already have looked into that. We are going to have a camera on the front corner looking back at the doors of the shed. We currently use Vintage Security. We've already talked to them. They will not only install the camera, but they do monitor it. We already have cameras on the inside of our building, and we use them for motion detectors. So the inside of the shed, when the door, if the door moves, we'll get immediate motion detector. And through the security camera, we'll have immediate images.
Good.
It triggers through motion to take a clip of the images. We currently have it inside the building. It works very well. It takes a picture of me every time I go in and out of the shop. The other things that we've taken into account is the roofing. We picked a special roof shingle that is supposed to be 30% more effective as far as heating and air conditioning. And then we also are going to put a double bubble on the bottom of it to help prevent from any moisture coming in and affecting the integrity of the storage unit.
Okay.
And I don't know if you care, but we're using Red Rose Creations, which is another local business. They're Amish built sheds. The person who has helped me and made fabulous suggestion is Jim Mateague. He lives right on Bandage Road, right off of Springfield. He knows the area, he knows the building, he seems to know his stuff. He was able to make suggestions to me that I hadn't thought of, including the location of the shed so that the door opened to the front instead of to the side. So I feel like I'm in very good hands working with Jim.
All right. It does seem to meet our recommendations in terms of they're located so they can't be seen from public right away. I guess there's some visibility, but it's going to be limited because of the side of the building it's on. It says it's not possible, unobtrusive as possible. That appears to be the case here. Also, that should be compatible with size, shape, design, and materials of the principal building. And I think you've done that with the colors and the size of that. So, anyway, I suggest recommend we approve this then. Any other, no other comments, recommendations to change or anything? Okay. All right. I will, over here. Looking for how, what did I do? All right, I'll recommend that we approve 2022-1, the shed at the 7615 Main Street, as it meets the recommendations and our guidelines on page 41, small auxiliary buildings. And with the, just the sorry, trying to find the word here. That it also complies with it. It also meets the planning and zoning requirements of the town. Okay, so any?
I'll second. A motion
Okay.
second.
All right, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks. So, okay, it's approved then.
Perfect, thanks. And then
Yeah.
I work with Kevin about the setback.
Yes, yep, and he should be in tomorrow if you need to just give him a call.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Do you have any reports, Anna?
I don't, but going back to approving last month's meeting notes,
Yeah.
since Chad and Richard weren't at the meeting,
Oh,
can't
my gosh.
approve it, so we have to postpone that.
Okay. Sorry, thanks for that correction. I wasn't even thinking about that. They weren't there, were they? All right, so retract that approval and we'll just postpone it till we have another meeting. And hopefully other members will be there.
Other than that, I don't have any updates from the town on my end.
All right. I don't really have anything.
What about
Anybody
Warfield?
else?
Anything going on with Warfield?
No, they were supposed to come to us with a plan, and then we were gonna refer to them to the not planning and zoning, to the planning commission, and they have not come with their updated plan. So we're still waiting.
Okay.
Okay. All
And
right,
everybody knows the last conversation that they came to the town council, they want to convert everything to 100% residential,
Yeah,
but we're waiting.
You mean all the old historic buildings on the other side, they want to make residential as well?
oh, you
Yep,
haven't seen that overall plan, huh?
Yeah, well, what they presented, they want to convert all of those historic buildings plus add to them and convert those into apartments, and all of the open
Available
areas,
space.
right? All the open areas, they want to have residential, either townhouses or piggyback townhouses, where there would be like one level there, instead of like a 3-story townhouse, it would be 1-story townhouse and then a 2-story on top of that.
Wasn't there, when originally Warfield was coming to fruition, wasn't there a requirement for those buildings to be renovated first before the townhouses were developed?
That is correct.
Yep.
That is correct. So currently they are not abiding to their contract.
And they want to push it more to add more. Okay.
That's
Yep.
what the hearsay is. We're waiting for that plan to come through. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what jurisdiction would we as a historic commission have in terms of altering the original plan? Would that be something that was within our jurisdiction, or was that be planning and zoning?
Planning
Well, I think we
commission,
did, right? Oh, go ahead, Anna.
the planning commission would approve the modification to the zoning, where it would be, where it was residential and commercial. Where the historic district would come in is where we have purview with the exterior and the aesthetics of it.
I think the planning too. I think we were involved with the approval of the 8 commercial buildings that they originally proposed that were, what the name, I can't remember the name of the road where they were going to have a little, like a crescent of 8 commercial buildings on that property. And that was the extent of what was approved initially. I wasn't really in favor of that either, but that was approved. So yeah, I think we would have a lot of say in terms of the layout, because we did with the townhouses as well, the whole where they lay things out and the heights of the buildings, the view sheds, and from 32 and all of that.
Okay. Well, we'll just wait and see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Anything else? The next meeting. Oh, go ahead, Richard.
Who made I know we discussed, or they discussed, the whole issue of wanting to put those balconies on the in units, and we talked about visibility and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Did that ever get resolved on which buildings they could have the in units? I noticed, I was over there the other day and I walk over there a good bit, and I noticed that some buildings have in units on them now. I just wondered, was there a systematic evaluation of visibility, sight lines and all that sort of thing, and approval of which buildings they could put units on?
I just remember, I remember a knockout. They wanted to put a dormer over one of the end units, but I don't remember the balcony discussion.
It was
Yeah.
the loft area, I believe, the upper.
Yeah, it was lofts, right?
There was 1 or 2 sticks of townhomes that faced the actual historic buildings. I believe those were the only ones that had restrictions on which townhomes could have lofts on them.
Yeah, we said no, we wouldn't allow those.
All those ones the original ones along Springfield Avenue were not to have units on the ends. And then the ones that you can visually see from the roadway, we're not to have ones on the end. And so far, it seems as though that's been abided by. I just didn't know if anybody ever went through and said, okay, these sticks or these units are the ones where you can put.
Yes, yeah. So when the building permits come through, our planning and zoning people take a look to make sure that the decks and the lofts are on buildings that are allowed to happen. So that is part of the review process that we get to go through.
Because I think we, as a historic commission, we looked at sight lines and visibility and which ones seemed appropriate. But I don't know.
Right.
After that, I don't know what happened to it.
I think that's where we left it.
All right.
Okay. In terms of then next meeting, do we have one tentatively for the 4th Tuesday of this month?
We don't have any applications yet, but it's still only the 4th day of the month.
But that
So
would be
I
when,
will- yeah, so it'll be the 25th
Third,
of the month.
5th? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right. There's no other discussion then. I'll move that we adjourn. Give a
Second.
second. Okay, all in favor? Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night. Take care.
You
Happy
too.
New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.